could listen to you all day, but I won't. The next movie we're going to talk about is Dawn of the Dead from 2004, the remake.
Damn, son.
Now, this was one that this was one that I was a bit split on at first, but
Mm,
I wanted to add it because I'm not as people who've listened know, I'm not the biggest fan of Zack Snyder's filmography. I think that he's with the right script, he can do something really good, which was proven within this film.
mm.
Now, Angel, go ahead and tell the people what Dawn of the Dead 2004 is about and what you thought about it when you first watched it.
Yeah, absolutely. Dawn of the Dead came out in 2004. It's one of my favorite zombie films. I think it's arguably Zack Snyder's best film
I would
to
say so.
date, and it's because of how strong that script is. So his collaboration with James Gunn is really impressive to me. But basically, Dawn of the Dead, it's a remake of George Romero's Dawn of the Dead of the same title, which is also an iconic horror film. It's been years since I've seen George Romero's Dawn of the Dead. I believe it came out in 1978. Um, it's been so many years since I've seen it, so I would have to revisit it in order to give a fair critical analysis on it. But just to let you know, if you haven't seen George Romero's Dawn of the Dead, it's perfect, it's iconic, and George Romero really is the master of social commentary in horror. Truly, especially if you watch any of his films, Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead. Watch any of his films. He
Well,
is the
maybe
master.
not. Maybe not later.
Yeah, maybe not later years, but he's definitely the master of social commentary. But Dawn of the Dead, basically, it gives us these unorthodox characters. For example, like a police officer, a salesman, and other survivors in this worldwide aggressive pandemic of zombies, and they are trapped in this mall and they're trying to survive. That's basically the plot for Dawn of the Dead, and it's
Yeah.
wonderful, man. I loved it when I saw it. I think Zack Snyder's flair with this movie really was. It's very visually appealing, but because the characters are so strong, this movie is more than just a visual treat. It really
Yeah.
does offer something to say, um, especially when a world is ridden with evil and crime and corruption. Um, it's inevitable that hell will transcend to earth, and it's such a great outlook on um just the repercussions of an apocalypse.
Yeah. One of the most staggering things for me when it came to this movie was, for one thing, the character, because I think this is so. The characters are so rich within this, which
Mhm,
obviously, James Gunn's script, I think, is a big reason as to that. But it felt so different than a lot of his other movies, like
mhm.
Zack Snyder's films. Like, I don't think any of his other films have characters that are this well developed, in my opinion. I know you're a fan of Watchmen. Um, but I wouldn't say that Man of Steel had characters that were this like three-dimensional, or BVS even. I'm hoping that the Snyder Cut does. I'm opening for some hoping. I'm hoping that the Snyder Cut has characters that are this rich, but I really do think that James Gunn's script was a big reason as to why this movie worked for me, because I think he can write characters that are very well developed and interesting. I mean, look what he does with Guardians of the Galaxy, what he did with that movie Slither and Super. I recently watched some clips from his PG porn series, which is hilarious. And I just think he's the perfect yin to Snyder's yang. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And
Yeah.
I agree with you. I think it is his best film. And I'm glad that he's going to be doing Army of the Dead.
Yeah.
I hope that he's got a screenwriter who's on the level of Gunn,
Hmm.
because in my opinion, that's what's been lacking in some of his later films. And yeah, I'm just glad that I really enjoyed this movie when I was dreading it at one point. You
Hmm.
know,
Yeah,
Uh,
great characters, great zombie design, and also just great scenes of tension as well. The zombie baby is something I'll never forget, and also the lady who was on the bed and then just starts running at them was very
oh
traumatizing
yeah,
as well. So yeah, man, you have a really great zombie film when the zombies aren't the most interesting part of the movie,
yeah,
and this is one of them. Especially when you see the conflict between the characters and you know. when you have some of them like hiding zombie bites and stuff like that. It's just very intriguing. It's a very great examination on human nature, and how we as individuals, when we don't work together, when we're kind of when we're kind of like out to get each other, we're the ones that really become just walking zombies in a way. So
Yeah, you bring up the interpersonal conflicts, but one of my favorite things about this film was the camaraderie that was built up, with
yes,
these
yes, yes, yes.
characters, how there's a new life being uh, built in this mall, how all these
Yeah.
characters have to get along and friendships and romances are brought into the mix,
Hmm.
and just a lot of the humor. I think it's a really funny movie. One
Yeah.
of the funniest and most touching elements of this film, in my opinion, was with Ving Rhames and him talking to the guy at the other building. I thought that was such a fascinating, funny, and beautiful part of the movie
Uh-huh.
that left me a bit optimistic because no matter what, people are going to try to connect with each other.
Yes.
And it was just really it was really heartwarming. and
Yeah.
and this is a movie where people get brained in.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. And also, every situation I think requires a hero to stand up. And if that means staying behind so that the others can get ahead, that's exactly what it requires. And you know, that's really what the movie leads up to. And that to me is just like, yeah, you're speaking to me. Like this give it to me. That's exactly what I love to see in our stories. If we ever get movies that allow us to improve, like that to me is like, okay, not only is it entertaining, but also it's like rewarding too, thematically. That's what I love to see. I really love that shot of the character at the dock, and they're getting away, and he's just standing there, and you see all the zombies coming out after him, the fire behind him. It's
How's
so
that guy
cool.
more Superman than
Yeah,
what we
right,
got?
right, right. I'm pretty sure he was the salesman, and he's like the best character in the whole movie, and that's just a testament to great writing as well.
Yeah, I'm down. Look, I'll compromise. I'll compromise. Let If Snyder is going to do Man of Steel 2, get James Gunn to write it.
Right?
Get James Gunn to write it. I don't need David Goyer.
Yeah,
I don't need Chris Terrio. No offense to those guys, but I think Gunn is the better choice
yeah,
amongst them all. You know, uh, I love this film, and I could watch it over and over again, honestly. And I never thought I'd say that about a movie by Zack Snyder, but I did like Dawn of the Dead. I love
yeah,
Dawn of the Dead.
yeah,
You know?
yeah. It starts off strong, and also to conclude this part of the segment,
Well, I got the
the
movie question.
oh, okay, my bad. The setting is very unique as well. George Romero introduced us to a horror film with the mall, and so just the idea of like this taking place in a mall to me has always, um, captured my attention, and it's just really cool to see these characters in a mall and using their resources,
Hmm.
to the best of their ability to try to survive.
Yeah. Okay. So we got the movie question, and Angel was trying to take control there, cutting out the movie question entirely. So our movie question is: what is a movie that you watched from a director and it completely changed your opinion on his filmography and his potential? Like for me, watching Dawn of the Dead, it influenced my opinion on Zack Snyder as a director. What
Hmm.
he's capable of in my eyes. Because before I was like, oh man, what he did with Man of Steel, BVS, I'm not a fan of that. I don't care to see more of his stuff. But this kind of shifted that. So
Yeah.
has that ever happened to you? And what did it happen with?
I'm trying to think, and I can't think of a director that I'm like, okay, I don't like this director, and then I've seen a film where it's changed my perspective. I can't think of one at the top of my head, but I'm sure
Hmm.
it's happened before, and um, I think it's a good way to encourage people to, if you don't like one film from one director, always check out the rest of their filmography and give them a chance, and see what you really think about them, because sometimes you can have directors handle a project and maybe that story just wasn't best for them, or their voice wasn't best expressed through those characters, or through that narrative. So I always encourage you, like if you come across a movie or a director that just doesn't hit you on the first one, feel free to check out the rest of their filmography because
Mhm.
it can happen, and I'm sure it's happened. I just can't think of it at the top of my head.
Did it happen with Michael Bay? Because if you watch things like The Rock,
Oh,
and
yeah.
you know,
That, you see, there you go, right there. Yeah, Michael Bay as a director, you know, uh, there's films that he's made that I've he's notorious for like one film that I've actually walked out on, the
yeah,
Benghazi film. Just because I was like, nah, man, this is not the way that I would want to see this story expressed, especially
mhm.
since it's a true damn story, to see product placement and gags and goofs. It was crazy. I was like, no way. I reject this, but
you you're banished.
yeah, but there are films, that Michael Bay has. The thing is, I feel like it's gone backwards for Michael Bay. He started off promising, with his earlier films like The Rock and stuff like that. I'm like, this is a director to watch, to look out for. But now I feel like I'm on the other end of it, where it's like, oh man, he's going into his really bad tendencies,
Yeah,
um, and he's not
he
serving the
just doesn't
story.
give a shit.
You know, there's a really great interview I saw with Steven Spielberg and Tom Cruise. And literally, I honestly, for those of you who are filmmakers, for those of you who are wanting to write, for those of you who want to be actors and stuff like that, check out this interview with Steven Spielberg and Tom Cruise. They're on Movie Phone. Steven Spielberg literally talks into the camera, and he's basically saying, "I don't give a damn if you know anything about cameras or how pretty you can make something look. When I watch short films, whether it be digital or on film, when I watch independent movies, when I watch feature films." I am watching movies to see how good a storyteller is because for me, when it comes to cinema, I care about the story. And so with Michael Bay, I feel like that's not his priority. It's not his priority. Is the story,
Right.
which I think all great films at their foundation is a great storyteller. Um, so yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I
Yeah.
look for in movies.
I honestly thought where you were going with that movie phone thing was I thought you were gonna say that Steven Spielberg like looked into the camera and he dissed Michael Bay like you ain't shit, bitch, bitch, which would have been pretty funny. But I agree that when it comes to, I mean, why else are you trying to make it other than to make money? But you want to tell the story, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And when you see the opening of like Transformers, that night film, the one where it's like the knights and stuff, I don't know if you saw it, but I only saw the opening of it. It's just like this isn't about the story, this isn't
Yeah.
about it. This is about theatrics. This is about theatricality and deception.
Yeah. Yeah.
All that. It's like, oh my God, what happened to him? Especially when you watch The Rock, where it's enjoyable. Sean Connery's really funny in it, along with Nicolas Cage. There's something to say within The Rock. It's really bizarre,
Yeah.
really weird.
The criticism that Martin Scorsese has on MCU films is misplaced, and I think it's valid with Michael Bay actually
Mm.
when it comes to amusement parks. When you watch Michael Bay's later filmography, and I think he's talented. Don't get me wrong. I think Michael Bay is insanely talented.
And I think he knows what he's doing also.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. But for when I watch his movies, the way I respond to it authentically is that I am watching really a $200 million commercial.
Mhm.
And that to me is like an amusement park. When you get on a ride, you're on it for the thrills, really.
Yeah.
You're not in it for the story. You're not in it for when was this ride made. And stuff like
Even
that.
with rides that are themed and have
Yeah,
stories on them.
yeah,
Like,
exactly.
just get on with it.
Yeah. You get on it for the adrenaline rush.
Yeah.
But great movies offer more than that adrenaline rush. They have that, but they also have something more
Right.
meaningful, which is emotional. And so when I watch Michael Bay's later filmography, it's like, no, those are the amusement parks, and he knows that. He knows
Yeah.
what he's doing, and he's okay with that. And we, as the audience, we're okay with that too, because it's like we know what we're getting into.
I'm not okay with it. I'm not. I don't know. Don't involve me, man. I think you're talking about China. I think you mean them.
Yeah.
They're paying for it. Leave
are.
me out of that.
And they're
shit.
providing the cars. They're providing the
Right, yeah, exactly. In the fourth movie, when Stanley Tucci has that he turns it into a beat, one of Dre's
Oh,
beats.
man.
Like, get the. I'm expecting Dr. Dre to show up as a transformer.
Oh my God.
I'm the cannabis con.
Dude, don't even remind me.
I'm the chronic con. The chronic con.
The Chronic Con.
Yo, I'm the chronic con. The GOAT Podcast is proof you don't have to look any further for movie news, reviews, trailer reactions, or special discussions. Subscribe, get notified about what's going on, and I promise you'll be entertained by our daily content on YouTube. If you want more, we're on Twitter at GOAT Film Podcast, Instagram The GOAT Podcast, and the GOAT Movie Group on Facebook. Get connected with us, see what's happening, and make sure to love it while you're doing so.